welcome to the final Taking the Myth of 2023, your topical, skeptical discussion show, yada, yada, yada. I'm Stephen Knight, and joining me is the fearless, that's it, that's all I've got for you. It's the only adjective. Iram Ramzan. How are you doing?
Bonjour. Or should I say bonsoir? I'm well.
Bonsoir.
I'm well.
Good. Glad to hear it. Lots to talk about, as usual.
Really? I mean, it's just been a very... It's always a quiet month whenever we decide to do this. Nothing happening in the world, no controversies. Everyone just getting along fine and dandy and thinking, wouldn't it be better if we all got along instead of fighting?
The news cycle, though, it moves so quick, doesn't it? Because we'll kind of, over the weeks in between recording, we'll kind of throw topics at each other and start listing them. And I'll be like, I really need to speak about this thing.
I really need to rant about this, yeah.
Yes, yeah. I get ready to rant about something. Then the recording comes on. I look at the topic and I'm like, that's way out of date. That's so last month. Nobody will care about that. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. But you, we were just talking before we started recording, you can't keep still. You've just got back from France.
Sorry, was that your French accent?
France. Yeah, I just wanted to sound really arrogant and cowardly at the same time, and that's what came out. Straight out the gates with an attack on the French.
That is sacre bleu. I hope it...
Oh,
that's awful.
I always get a bit...
My Arnold Schwarzenegger impression was way better than that.
Oh no, let's not go down that road again. But one of the pieces of feet. I've never been to France. It's on my list. I'm not too keen. But I mean, what the little bit of feedback I tend to get from people who have been is, so I like to dabble with a little bit of the local languages when I travel. I've done this in Greece, Spain.
Merci, vous play.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not great monk-wise, is it? And I find generally other cultures are quite kind of amused and appreciative of the effort, right? Apparently, yeah. I've heard from multiple people who have tried this in France, and the French have just gone, stop it, this is very bad, just stop.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a kind of protective kind of attitude towards their language, as if it's
you are butchering our language.
You're butchering the mother tongue. Yeah, this is. Yeah. So, how did you find it? How did you find the flag waving surrender monkeys, cheese eating surrender monkeys? That's the one, isn't it?
Yes,
that's the one. It's been a while since I've racially abused an entire nation.
I don't have an issue with the French, to be honest. I mean, maybe it's different if you go to Paris because they're used to tourists. I don't know what it's like in other parts of the country, but I always go there and ask them if they do speak English, and they say yes. Because I used to be so good at French when I was at school, and once you stop using a language, you just forget it, don't you? So. It just annoys me that I don't have a good command of it like I used to. I try. I'll always greet them in French and speak as much as I can, just to show that I make an effort and not some uncouth Britisher.
Some little Englander.
Exactly.
Merci, mate. Merci.
All right, mate. Yeah, see who's play. Yeah, all right. Yeah. But I was.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say I was there to report on a story which I'm sure you've read about.
Well, I only know about it because you brought it to my attention. This is weird.
Oh, okay. No one gives a shit until I mention it, or the Daily Mail mentions it.
To be fair, I mean, this is the kind of thing that should be on my radar. I'm very surprised.
Yeah, how'd you let that slip?
You know what's funny though? One of the real perks, and I genuinely mean this, one of the best and greatest things about having a sizable social media following is that people will find little bits of things and think, oh, Stephen might want to know about that, and they'll send it to me. So I get a lot of news and information just from other people sending me things, which is good. But this one, just apart from you sending it to me, kind of slipped under the radar. But do you want me to read the headline so we can get an idea? And you were in France on this story?
Yes.
Right. I think you mean we.
Oui, c'est un nom.
Okay,
I was there,
we have to stop. We have to stop with the impressions. We can't do this again.
No. We can't. I think
Consenting to
Arnold
cabbage dinner.
Schwarzenegger's already filed complaints. So
Yeah, right. The headline from the Daily Mail is Furious Row Erupts in France, as teacher
pause.
is left in fear for her life. This is not funny anymore, straight face. After showing 17th century painting of nude women to Muslim pupils in art class. Now, this is a very familiar feeling, except
Mm.
usually it often revolves around something to do with Muhammad, a caricature or a perceived bit of disrespect. This is
This is boobs.
tits. Okay.
This is 17th century boobs.
17th century Tatars, and that's caused the problem.
Yeah,
Right.
tits and cellulite. I mean, they are quite flabby in that picture. I'm sorry, I know. Okay,
I've
fine.
not
I know we
seen
should
it.
be
Let
all
me.
body positive, blah blah blah. Right, but
Oh, there
these
it is.
women, they're not very toned.
Right. Here's the fucking hypocrisy I'm going to point out straight away. Right. They've got the picture. They've got the central offence causing piece of art right on the page here. Like you say, some not particularly traditionally attractive women, naked, all
I mean,
naked. Is he
they're
giving them a
not
backhand?
ugly. Um,
There's a
he's
guy
going
there in a
like
dress. There's a guy who
maybe
identifies as a woman
he
in a
identifies as
dress.
a. I think he's a man. I think he's coming in there like, "Oi, naked women, cover up now. Don't
Cover
go
your
up against my
yeah,
religion."
yeah. Right, but my point being, some Muslims were offended and they printed the thing that offended them. If they were offended by the Muhammad caricature, which you could say, in terms of Western
Mm.
sensibilities, is far less offensive than some naked tubby bitches. Um, Oh, do you know? I mean, the moral inverse here is a bit crazy. Now, I'm not bothered either way. I'm not bothered about seeing naked flesh and/or caricatures of historic figures, right? But the fact that the Daily Mail will publish nude art, but would not dare replicate any kind of caricature of Muhammad, says a lot about where we are, though, doesn't it? But tell me what happened with this story. You know, I don't.
Yeah, yeah. I know absolutely everything. I'm the expert. So basically, it's a middle school, Jacques Cartier in Issou. It's west of France. I've been there. It's in the middle of nowhere. I mean, we had to drive around looking for a bloody cafe to sit down at. It's just, there was this bakery near the school, and you just go in there. You take le baguette, and then you just go out. You can't sit down and eat.
Pain au chocolat. Yep, I'm gonna cut all this out. The tour getting cancelled.
Monetized, demonetized, right? So this school, basically it was some sort of art appreciation class, and a teacher showed this painting in class, and it's considered a masterpiece. It's by an Italian painter, Diane Actaeon, and it shows it's basically a Greek mythology story in which the hunter bursts in at a site where the goddess Diana and her nymphs are bathing, and obviously you can't bathe with your clothes on, so they're all naked. And because it's considered a masterpiece, it's held at the Louvre Museum in Paris. So if it's good enough for a museum, surely it's good enough to show the kids, because they're going to go to a museum as well and probably see that anyway.
Okay.
So she showed this painting in a class, and apparently, some of the pupils were shocked. They were about age between 11 and 12, and they were supposedly shocked. They turned their back and said, "No, no, no, oh, no, no, no." Okay, this is a really serious story. We stop. Right. These little brats, yeah, they turned their backs on the painting and said, "No, this is against our religion. We can't look at this." And that's what we know so far. Nobody knows exactly what happened, but following the class, a lot of false posts circulated on social media accusing the teacher of making racist comments and being Islamophobic as well towards her Muslim students. And it got so bad that the parents of some of these children, they went to the school absolutely furious, saying, "Why are you showing this to our children?" etc. And her colleagues actually had some balls and decided, you know what, we're gonna show solidarity, and they decided to go on strike the next day, holding up signs and saying that there were issues in the school. So it's not just to do with this incident. I think this was basically the straw that broke the camel's back. There have been so many other incidents at the school, not just relating to issues around secularism, but just lack of discipline, and children behaving really badly, staff feeling like they're not being protected and there aren't any resources to help them. They went on strike on Friday. Monday, the education minister himself got involved and went to the school to have a meeting with them, to reassure them that the pupils who made the false claims would be disciplined, maybe expelled, but we don't know that until after this podcast goes out. Now, initially, you might think, what was the big deal? It could easily, why did it have to be turned into this massive drama? But as we know, this comes after a French court the week before convicted 6 teenagers for their role in the 2020 beheading of Samuel Paty outside his secondary school near Paris.
Yeah.
He apparently showed Charlie Hebdo cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad, and he was very tragically stabbed and beheaded. And it turns out that some of the people behind this actually made the whole thing go up. One of the girls behind this, it turns out, wasn't even in the class when it all happened.
Yeah.
And then you had another teacher 2 months ago, the north of France, who was stabbed again by a former pupil. They're still trying to establish his motives, but they think it might be Islamist related. So because of that, the situation is still quite tense, and teachers there are worried that they might be attacked in a similar way. It's just one of those things. It just takes a few silly posts on social media and it gets out of hand, and you never know what's going to happen after this. So yeah, that's what happened. And we went there. I went there for an article, which should be out this week. Just trying to get a picture of what's going on. Just trying to find out exactly how the teachers feel, what students are going through, the atmosphere in France. A lot of people I spoke to were just amazed that there was this uproar at showing a painting like this, because it's art, and this is a painting that hangs in a major museum as well. So you wouldn't think, okay, fine, regardless, people should be able to show what they like, free speech. But you understand, if this had been, say, a Muhammad cartoon, why there would have been some backlash to it. We know what happens whenever a cartoon of the Prophet Muhammad is shown. People are going to react badly to it. But to a Renaissance painting, it's just absurd. And a lot of the parents we were speaking to just said it's so, we don't understand this reaction. What is going on? And they said, the problem is with kids and some of their parents, that maybe the parents are egging them on as well. I spoke to some Muslim parents as well in a nearby town, just to ask them for their view. And I was quite surprised when they said, oh, we don't understand why they had to show a painting. It's something that should only be showed to adults, not children. Then they started talking about how, it's France and secularism, and how, laïcité is something that the French state uses to bash Muslims with, trying to get them to assimilate. So there's, quite a few different issues to unpack here.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. I mean, that Samuel Paty point's a great one. Like you say, his demise was a direct result of rumours and lies being spread across social media and whispers down back channels and things like that. I mean, it's also really concerning as well, especially in somewhere like France. And I don't think people quite appreciate this as much when they throw around the word Islamophobia in the direction of ordinary people who don't have any bigotry, because You've put that mark on someone of Islamophobe. They're Islamophobic.
Mm.
That's a charge of blasphemy to a lot of people. And there are a number of people who are quite happy, or they believe it's their religious duty to eliminate people who blaspheme against Islam. And so just putting that label on people is enough sometimes. That the useless idiots on the left don't really realize they're painting the targets on the back of people who just want to be free and express themselves without having their head chopped off. But it's a clash of culture, isn't it? I mean, not only do we have to be careful what we teach about Islam in Western schools now, we also have to be careful what we teach about the Renaissance in terms of art. In France, of all places,
Of all places, I mean, they have bare tits everywhere. You walk around, there's a statue. I'm not saying women walk around like that. I'm just saying there's a statue. You know, there's like statue in every corner practically, with woman with her tartars hanging out.
So we'll see how that develops. I will look forward to your piece on that for sure, because that's like you said, there's a lot going on. Laissez-faire, clash of cultures, religious.
What I also found interesting, and so this is a good point
Is it the
made
boobs
by one
again?
of the father. It was, yeah. One of the parents said, "Oh, he goes, all these kids are watching porn on their phones, but you show them a painting,
Yeah.
artwork, and they're outraged." So what the hell?
It is funny because obviously this kind of adverse reaction to the naked form comes from a modesty culture, basically, which is conservative Islam is. However, when you look at some of the most conservative Islamic countries on the planet, the amount of the amount of porn that's downloaded in them regions is high and above where you'd find in a lot of liberal nations. So it just goes to show.
And yeah, I'm sorry, but the men there are absolutely thirsty as fuck. I've been to a lot. I'm sorry, but I have been to a lot of Muslim countries, right? And I went to Morocco. Oh my God, they take it to the next level. Offering to buy you for a camel. Shouting. One guy shouted "one night stand" to me, and I thought,
wow,
what?
Straight out of the gate.
No, I mean, mate, you could have at least taken me out for dinner,
Yeah.
Just shouting that in the market.
That's amazing.
What do you think I am?
Yeah, at least you were two camel girl, at least.
I mean, look, if I throw in a Range Rover, right? And
two camels, a Range Rover, final offer.
I'm going to Egypt as well. This week, so it'd be interesting to see exactly how the men
James
there
Bond
behave,
you at the minute. It's everywhere. Well, given this has been a very cultured opening to the show where we've discussed Renaissance art and have not clearly devolved into terrible, xenophobic French impressions and or lengthy discussions on.
Are we going to bring the tone down now?
Well, I think this is an interesting topic to me, and it's kind of this next topic rather, and it kind of leads into monarchy as well. And it's created a little bit of a diplomatic row in the UK. We're having bare words with Greece at the minute, and the headline is Greece denies promising not to raise Parthenon sculptures on UK visit. So this ostensibly is an argument about who has what relics of yesteryear in their museum. Obviously, as we know, the Brits, fucking great at that pillaging and taking all the goods from other cultures. We were great at that. Built some boats, rocked on over to different countries, took all this shit. It's now in the British Museum. So Rishi Sunak cancelled his meeting with the Greek Prime Minister after it was felt a promise not to publicly discuss the Parthenon sculptures was broken, Downing Street said. So what is your thought? Because Greece have been very sour about this for the longest time. They've asked for them back. We're refusing. Where are you on who has whose shit where, basically?
This is a really tricky one because where do you draw the line? All sorts of things have been, say, plundered or looted or bought legally. How do you decide what goes back and when? I don't care.
I'm so glad you said that.
I don't give a fuck about the Parthenon marbles. Give them back. Don't give them back. I don't care.
They're missing heads and arms. Back, rubbish.
It's all ruins. No, I mean, I saw them when I went to Athens. I thought they're pretty impressive. Maybe they should go back. I'm not bothered either way if they don't. But I just thought it was hilarious how, when Rishi Sunak supposedly snubbed the Greek, and the
Well, that's the
the
interesting bit.
a Greek newspaper on their front page headline read "Fuck you, bastard."
But it is crazy though, because like you say, I don't care where these things are. I would suspect the majority of the British public probably don't. However, it's such a big enough issue to cause a mini diplomatic row between two nations to the point where the Prime Minister refuses to meet a representative from Greece because of this. And Greek tabloids send a few invectives Rishi's way. But did you see the Prince Charles thing that ties into this?
Oh, the tie. It ties into this, the tie.
Oh, there it is. There it is. This is why we're so good at what we do. Yeah, it's just puntastic. I think we need to make puns a regular thing. I think at least one pun per episode, at least.
The accents need working on.
The accents could do with a little extra time tweaking. But so here's my question though, so just to explain what happened here. Prince Charles was seen around the time of this diplomatic row wearing a tie at a public event. Prince Charles, King Charles, fucking hell, straight to the tower for that. Is that an offence?
I'm pretty sure that's treason.
Oh God, we'll edit that out. But he was seen with a tie with the Greek flag on. Several.
Yeah,
The pattern was the Greek flag. So people.
It was. So it could have been a nod to his late father, who was a prince of Greece, Prince Philip.
Right. Could have been. But people are taking this as...
statement.
But the problem is with King Charles, if you know anything about the man, he was very, very politically active before he became king. And but I suppose my question is, does that, let's just assume that he is making a political statement there, does that undermine his own government? Does that make us look like right Wallies on the global stage?
Yeah.
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 Easy topic.
Yeah.
Done. Tick that off.
I think we're done. Move on. I think Britain doesn't really have a very great standing in the world anymore, and I think the whole I won't go into this too much, but the whole Israel-Gaza thing is really...
Don't talk about Israel and Gaza. You can't talk about Israel and Gaza.
It's really, that's really, brought that to home. No one really cares what Rishi Sunak thinks. I mean, everyone probably cares what America thinks, what Joe Biden thinks, but don't think anyone really cares what Rishi Sunak thinks. We're not that important anymore, which is really sad.
So are you trying to say that we're not the superpower we used to be? Are you saying we need to crack on with the old imperialism game again? Maybe colonize. Nice country you got there. Shame if someone colonized it. Kind of attitude.
Yeah.
Who would we take? Who should we invade? Wales. Fucking Wales. Get that done in an afternoon.
We would. I mean, but that'd just be... It's too easy, isn't it? It's just not even an invasion. They're already... we've already got them by the balls, haven't we? So
I don't fancy my chances with the Scots, to be honest. I think anyone that can endure that kind of weather and cuisine is probably quite the warrior.
What about Ireland? I mean, we already fucked up Ireland, so...
We are getting some very dangerous waters here. Right.
Just thinking, should we all go back to India and Pakistan?
Yeah.
That would be really popular.
God. We are responsible for some nuggets, aren't we, history-wise, in terms of where we've been, what we've done.
I'm just thinking if I should use the pronoun we, hashtag pronouns, because my ancestors came from a different country altogether and would have been subject to, British rules. So
you can use that. You've got so many woke points that you don't even use. Do you realise that you could be climbing that hierarchy of political grievance of intersectionality for sure? You just need a girlfriend in a wheelchair and you're done.
I need a crazy hairstyle as well.
You do need yes, yeah. Get on that. What are we talking about next? So we've solved.
Oh, you were at the what have we solved?
We've solved the museum controversy with Greece. We put France back in its box. What else have we got? I mean,
Well,
we've got a list.
you were I mean, you were at the Battle of Ideas, weren't you? Was it last month or was it
Yeah,
earlier
last
this
month.
month?
See, this is one of them things on the list that was relevant when I wrote it down, and now I forgot
Maybe
about
it's
it.
not now. Like, who gives a
Who
fuck
gives a
about
fuck when
you
I was there?
in
Yeah,
Buxton?
yeah. I was on two panels, one on anti-Semitism, one on the culture war. They should be online at some point, so I'm sure I'll share them round and round. But it's always that these events are really good because sometimes a panel will be you have opening arguments and then you argue amongst yourselves and that's it, and then you have a tiny bit of Q&A at the end. Battle of Ideas is you have your opening arguments and then it goes thrown straight out to the audience to
Oh shit!
throw stuff at you.
Right in the deep end.
Yeah, and it's if when I'm thinking about it in my head before I go, I'm like, oh, this could get tricky. And when I'm there, I actually love
Did
it.
you have any? I mean, what were the main points you wanted to make? Is it just basically anti-Semitism is bad? Full
Oh
stop?
no, I was on the other side. I was like, anti-Semitism is great. Yeah, so it's funny because I got off the train and there was some bloke looking for the venue, and
You're like, oh, all right, mate. Yeah, I'm going there as well.
yeah, so I guided us down there, and then I registered at the desk, and he didn't know I was speaking. He had no idea who it was, obviously. And then I'm on the panel, and when it gets to the anti-Semitism bit, when he gets to the Q&A bit, he gets up and he's fucking furious because he's like really anti-Israel, pro-Palestine, and just goes on a massive rant of all the shit Israel is responsible for.
Did you do a Christopher Hitchens and say yes, but what's your question?
I know.
I mean, I always want to say that to people. You know, whenever the host is, right, I'm just going to go to the audience for questions. What's your question, sir or madam? And they just go on and on and on. And I'm just thinking, yeah, but what is the question?
This is it. You have to, if you're going to, at a public event, if you've got a captive audience, I mean, luckily, we didn't, this podcast.
No one was captivated by him.
But we're not running around to people's houses with this podcast and playing it. They're clicking on a link and putting it in their ears on purpose. Hi, everyone. Right? But if you're in a room and there's hundreds of people and you're going to stand up and say something, you need to be very fucking interesting if you're going to be longer than 40 seconds. And most people aren't. I don't even think, I'm not in that category. When I ask a question at a public event, I ask a question and it's a sentence. It's a sentence and it has a question mark at the end. No one's there to hear you splutter around about your political views. No,
exactly. No.
I made the argument. I had a very minor, very civil, polite disagreement with somebody else on my panel. He was very bright, knew the stuff, and made a lot of sense. But I kind of pointed out that the main source of anti-Semitism comes from Islamism. And he kind of tried to make out that Islamism was just the same as any form of identity politics, and it doesn't warrant special mention when it comes to anti-Semitism. That I'm paraphrasing, so please, like when the debate comes out,
and you're like, hold on.
Yeah, I had to push back on that a little bit. But I mean, he was perfectly lovely about it. So that'll be online soon. Watch it if you want. Don't let me tell you what to do.
Well, I mean, sometimes I struggle to sleep, so
I do have one of those voices, don't I?
Was that before or after the march against anti-Semitism in London?
I can't remember. It's all a blur. I think it was. It was the next day. That's how committed I am. I went down to Buxton on the Saturday, train to London on the Sunday for the March Against Anti-Semitism march, which might tie into something else we probably need to speak about. But the March Against Anti-Semitism was fantastic. There's so many people there, and it was a very strange, somber, kind of stoic, dignified atmosphere. It was very strange, and I couldn't quite put my finger on it. It was almost quiet, but in a good way. And I was reading like
quiet determination.
Yes, I was reading because obviously it's very rare that people take to the streets in a cause for Jewish people. It's not one of them things that tends to happen. And I think Jake Wallace-Simons of the Jewish Chronicle, I think he wrote something afterwards because he was there, and he said he pointed out the same thing about the somber, quiet atmosphere. It's like a lot of people didn't even know what to chant because they don't do this kind of thing usually. So I thought that was really interesting that it was a lot of people that came out on the streets that day who don't usually go to street gatherings, who don't usually go to protest. And I thought that's interesting. I mean, because you get, your left wing agitators who will turn out for anything all the time. So that was interesting, but it was peaceful. It's very busy. I can't. Yeah. Oh, so this is what I was going to say. Did you see the fact that Tommy Robinson was arrested, detained, and charged?
Yeah, so he was in a coffee shop initially, wasn't he? And wasn't there a section, was it 35 or something, order against him turning up?
Yes. So he knew. I mean, so the here's what happened. So the organisers of this event, they said they didn't want him there at the protest, right? And because they don't want the association, because the minute Tommy Robinson turns up at your event, it's now far right. That's just the way the press works. That's just the way the public attitude works. I mean, I just think he's a liability for any cause, but that's a separate issue. They said they didn't want him there. They told the police they didn't want him there, and he turned up, and the police kind of preemptively arrested him from joining the march under the guise of he may cause alarm or distress to people. And I'm just thinking, it's crazy in this country that you can say we're going to have a protest, but he's not allowed to come and he's not allowed to come.
But wasn't he banned from attending?
Yeah, well, here's the thing. So these are so fundamentally, these powers for me are an issue because I don't like Tommy Robinson. I know you don't care for him, but
No.
Should he be prevented from stepping on the streets of London because some people might find his presence distressing?
I just think, he's being very me. It's all about him.
Yes.
If he wanted to show solidarity, he could have just put out a statement online, made a video. He could have turned up really quietly and just blended in, or just not bothered, because it's not about you, Tommy. This isn't about you.
He fell into his trap though, because he's got this video footage of him now sat having his breakfast in a cafe in London. The police coming over to him saying, if you're going to have to leave, you're going to have to leave. And the second he walks out onto the street, like a big group of police officers descend on him, get hold of him. He's a gobby little shit, obviously. He doesn't go quietly. The cameras are there. He gets pepper sprayed.
Oh my God.
Bundled into the back of a van, thrown it, I think he spent the night in a cell. And he's charged, so he'll be in court at some point next year and told he's not allowed in London. I think there is his bail conditions, perhaps. And it just feels a bit crazy to me that a free country can do that, regardless of what you think about him. I just think these aren't like anti-Tommy Robinson laws. It's not a law written just for Tommy Robinson. These are general laws they could decide to use against anyone for any reason at any time to prevent your freedom of movement or prevent you, joining in with a political protest. I mean, if you literally can't protest in your own country peacefully without being arrested, that's a fundamental flaw in your liberal democracy, surely. So I'm a little bit. I don't like him. I'll openly say now. Please stop sending the guy money every time he gets in trouble. He sends out the GoFundMe, and he creates his own problems. And like you say, if you really wanted to show solidarity, you should have just said, you know what, I'm not going to turn up because I know what my presence will mean in terms of optics. But obviously, he's made it about him, and he's won because he's got that look at the state oppressing me attitude again. And we're talking about
exactly.
Him.
Well, I mean,
I am.
Talk about
Yeah, I made it, so it's my fault.
But I mean, it's interesting we're talking about antisemitism because, and this leads on to another point. It's about the university president, who was quizzed in Congress about the hostile atmosphere against Jewish students. I mean, that was an absolute car crash to watch. I don't know if you watched that clip.
I did, and I have mixed views on it. Kind of.
Okay.
Sorry, go on.
I'm just saying. I mean, I don't. I thought I watched that. I mean, this is University of Pennsylvania. Liz McGill. She was. I think it was. It was in Congress. There was she was asked about the safety of Jewish students on university or college campuses.
Fuck we've done the French. We've had a pop at the Greek. Now we're moving on to the Americans.
She was
College.
like college.
Fucking
college students.
College students.
I mean, she's basically asked, just calling for genocide against Jews on campus.
You have to redo that. You can't be laughing. You can't be laughing when we're talking about whether calling for the genocide of Jews.
I'm so not laughing at that. Right.
Fucking hell.
You might have to take over.
Right. Okay. The funny thing is, or not the funny thing, it's not funny at all, in fact. It's completely the opposite of whatever funny is. But we was discussing this on Sean Atwood's channel the other night, live on YouTube. And if you use the word genocide on YouTube, apparently you get demonetized and you can get a strike against you and all sorts of things. So we had to think of a really clever way to talk around it. And you know what we came up with? Blemicide.
Okay.
So that just makes everything worse all of a sudden, because it's a silly word to describe a very serious problem. But I think I know what you're talking about. So
yeah, it's basically right. Okay, I've calmed down now. So McGill, she appeared in front of a House of Representatives committee earlier this month. Alongside with the presidents of other universities, and they were asked, does calling for the genocide of Jews violate your university's code of conduct or rules regarding bullying and harassment? Yes or no? And then she and the others said, oh, well, it would depend on the context. And, so now they've been roundly criticised for not flatly condemning calls for the genocide of Jews. Everyone was telling her that she basically had to step down after, but a lot of people then defended her as well because this also has to do with free speech as well, apparently.
Yeah. It's a bit mental. I mean, obviously, the answer to that question is yes. That if you have policies on harassment or is it the other one, bullying? I think calling for the genocide of an entire peoples should qualifies. I think the problems here are we've got colleges and university campuses that I've been spent years banging on about microaggressions and being triggered, and they've been banning books with problematic views. They've been no platforming certain speakers who have got the wrong opinions. Misgendering's a hate crime. Certain speech is literally violence or literal violence, depending on how they term it. And now all of a sudden they're going to stand on the First Amendment when it comes down to the genocide of Jews. That's crazy to me. That's a massive double standard. And then obviously, if someone did
microaggressions are bad, but actual major aggressions, out and out aggression,
full on aggressions, pretty bad. So I mean, you'd probably get more movement if you misgendered Jewish students rather than call for the genocide. That's how fucked up academia is at the minute. But the fact that so somebody did a really clever video online as well, just to show you about this double standard with the Jews in people's minds. They basically used AI to replace the question with blacks. If you was to call for the genocide of blacks on campus, would that violate your policies on harassment and bullying? And that was intercut with them saying, it depends on the context, it depends on blah blah blah. And it seems much worse. They then did another video where it was LGBT people instead of Jews, and obviously everyone understands the message all of a sudden. But when it comes to Jews, there's this weird thing on the left where they're almost not a minority and they're fair game for anything and everything, even calls for genocide, which is the most dangerous, mind-blowing, incredible thing, especially when you put it in kind of historical context. But the First Amendment in the United States of America probably would allow you to say that without getting arrested or in trouble with your government.
What, even calling for genocide of someone? You'd think that would cross a certain line.
Depends on the context. So that's the thing. So they were answering that question from a First Amendment perspective, which is really annoying that these people suddenly find use for the First Amendment when it's Jews. They can still dictate their own policies, but are they now saying that their policies have to align with the First Amendment? Because if so, great, then open the floodgates to everything else that's
I
going
was
on in
just
your
gonna
campus.
say, yeah.
You, you ban
There's
Halloween
no such thing
costumes,
as
for fuck's sake.
yeah, yeah. I mean, if you misgender someone, that's it, game over for you. But what about someone's right under the First Amendment to correctly call out your actual biology? How about
Yeah.
that?
So I am actually of the mind that universities and colleges should be able to expel people for calling for genocide. I don't think that's controversial, but it's just really it's just pissing me off that they're suddenly saying, "Oh, actually, our standard is the First Amendment." Is it? Is it though? When
No,
did you decide
they
that?
remembered it. Yeah, they remember the First Amendment when it comes to
Jews.
Jews. As David Baddiel, a comedian, would say, Jews don't matter.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely absurd that suddenly, oh, it's all about free speech and the First Amendment, but the blue hair nose ringed brigade suddenly, when it comes to gendered pronouns and everything, don't really give a fuck. Don't give a flying fuck about First Amendment then.
Such a softball question. Does calling for the
You think
Jew
it'd be easy to
does calling
answer?
for the genocide of Jews, contravene your policies on bullying and harassment? Yes. Yes, obviously it does, but for some reason they heard something else. It's just they can't bring this is the problem. They can't separate Jews from Israel, unfortunately, which is anti-Semitic in its own right.
That's like, I mean, I'm sorry, but that's like, labeling all Muslims as extremists and terrorists because of ISIS and Al Qaeda. It would be unfair. I mean, I don't think it'd be fair to discriminate against Muslims because, oh my God, the Taliban are banning girls from going to school. That makes you all the same. All the time we've had people complain that, Muslims are unfairly blamed or stigmatized for the actions of extremists and,
Yeah.
fucking genocidal maniacs. And you wouldn't associate all Muslims with terrorists either. But when it comes to Jews, they're not really a minority because they're actually privileged and they appear white as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, what a fucking low bar that is, though. No, don't call for genocide. Can you imagine be like looking through the criteria of your university of choice and seeing that and going, oh, you know what? I don't think I can manage that. Oh, I
I
can't,
don't think I could go to this university
you
because
know,
can't call for the death of a
yeah.
minority.
God, I mean,
Okay.
what's the world coming to? What's the world coming to when I can't go
I
to
mean, when
university and screech about the genocide of an entire people? It's
it's just
PC culture
impacting.
gone mad.
It is because what happened to my First Amendment rights.
Back in my day, just say whatever you wanted and everyone would be fine. And now you're telling me that in between fucking interpretive dance and gender studies, I can't call for the annihilation of an entire persecuted minority? Oh, winds me right up. That's the problem because they're hated by the right and they're hated by the left, far left, should I say, and far right, for different reasons. If someone's anti-Muslim, like really anti-Muslim, I can tell you they're on the right straight away. If someone's really anti-Semitic, it took me a while to figure out whether they're far right or far left. I'd have to ask a few more follow-up questions, like, what do you think of Greta Thunberg?
Are you vegan?
Are you vegan?
But I've noticed a lot with a lot of these really pro Israel defenders as well. I'm not saying being pro Israel is necessarily bad or anything, but I've noticed a lot of the people who well, not a lot, but some of the people who do try and show solidarity with Israel or Jews only do it because they dislike Muslims. I think,
Yeah.
but they those people would eventually go for Jews in the end anyway. They're just picking a minority first because they hate one group even more than the other.
Yeah, I completely agree. Have we got time for something else? God, we've nearly done an hour and we've covered like three
We've
topics.
just proper nailed it this time. We've just gone right through it without a break. Segued neatly from one section to another.
What other nation can we offend?
Okay, let me think. Who's pissed me off recently? Was it Hungary who refused to help fund Ukraine or something recently?
Did you see that fucking video the other day at like a political meeting where the guy just strolls in and drops a few grenades on the floor and then...
Oh, in Ukraine, yeah, the
Terrorist attack.
Ukrainian council. I mean, that's one way to end a boring council meeting.
Christ, it's like this could have been an email. Jesus, we should not joke about this. I
You
think
have no authority, Jackie. We've really proper offended everyone.
I think it's just the time of year. I think we just fucking...
Tis the season.
Oh,
Hang on. I've got one which we can very briefly talk about, right? You know how food is a religion in Italy, you know?
Okay.
And you know recipes like carbonara, you know, they're carefully protected traditions, right? And a prominent food historian, Luca Cesari or Cesari, I don't know how to pronounce it. That's my Italian accent. He unveiled what he offended the French and the Italian. Excellent. Unveiled what he claimed, right, was the original recipe. I mean, no one knows. The history is, I think, contested. It's obscure. Was it invented in 19th century Naples?
The recipe for what? Sorry.
Carbonara.
Oh, carbonara. Okay.
Yeah, and apparently it has to be done in a certain way. Then it can only be called carbonara. Italians make it with egg whites and cheese, blah blah, and in an Instagram post he showed himself cooking what he claims is the first written down version, and apparently it contains, wait for this, Swiss Gruyere cheese.
Oh, so it's not even
instead 100%... of pecorino and garlic and scrambled eggs. And he said, "Oh, prepare yourselves. This recipe is made with bacon and cooked eggs, and you know, this is a drier version of the others." And obviously, everyone reacted with the utmost horror, you know, at this disgusting dish. Like,
because of the Swiss cheese.
Apparently, I don't know. It was a combination of all sorts of ingredients that he'd added, but some people wrote, "You're going to jail," and others said, Another said, "Please die."
That's polite though, isn't it? At least, like,
it's polite for Italians.
Please die. You know, please. You can, please, say what you... I mean, maybe if them people on them campuses had added a please at the end of the calls for genocide, I might have a different view. You know, if you're going to be genocidal, just be polite. It's not a lot to ask.
Exactly. So there you go. Did you watch Owen Jones's... Yeah.
Use his full title, please.
Owen fucking Jones.
Owen fucking Jones. Jesus. It's kind of... This is the kind of on the face of it thing that seems quite reasonable, but it's not. So he's doing the "I'm just being an objective journalist" routine when he's watched the...
He's not objective, okay? Can I just say that before we carry on, right? I can't contain myself right now. He's not an objective journalist. He himself says he's not objective. He is not an objective journalist. He is a writer. He's got an opinion, okay? He's not objective.
I agree. And I think some people are a bit confused sometimes about how journalism works, because some people assume sometimes if you're a journalist, it means you have to be neutral, as if you live in the, you're on the BBC and you can't say anything either way. I think you can quite clearly come down on one side of an event or an argument as long as you do it objectively, as long as you're not trying to sell something, as long as you're not playing hide the ball, as long as you're trying to be objective. I think that's fine. He's not. He's one side on this debate, and he sees it as his duty to discredit the other side rather than report objectively on the other side. So he watched the Hamas footage, and this is a package that the Israeli authorities have put together. I believe it's about 40 minutes or so. I've not seen it. I've not been invited to see it or anything like that. I don't know. I'll check with you.
I don't know if I would even watch it, to be honest. I mean, I don't even like watching violence and
like
gory
fake
stuff
violence
in films. Yeah, I'd even like watching staged fake violence. Why would I watch real violence?
I think I don't think anyone would regret not watching it. That's how I feel. I understand what what I think I would. I think I need to stay angry about it, to be honest. And I think that'd help. But he's watched this video and it's carefully selected. Some of the worst stuff isn't in there because it's either too disturbing or the families of the people involved have requested it not be shown, which you can completely understand as well. And I don't think people quite understand the brutality and the inhumanity involved in some of these killings of innocent people. But he managed to watch it and he reported on it, did a YouTube video. And it seemed like his main goal was just to sow doubt about some of the claims of the worst things Hamas had done. So, namely, the rape of innocent civilians. He wanted to try and play that angle down because obviously you can sort of defend Hamas's murdering of innocents if you're all in with the pro-Palestinian cause. You can say, they're the occupiers. They've been kept in an open air prison. You can kind of make a mealy-mouthed, horrible defense of it. Once you start getting to the rape side of things and the torturing and the torturing of children, gets a little bit more tricky for these people to kind of stay on the pro-Palestine, we just want to be free side of the debate. And it seems to me that he was looking at things that any objective person would clearly say, okay, that's evidence of a rape. And he just seemed to be nitpicking at it very pedantically in a way where what he was saying was matter of fact, but it didn't bring anything to the debate except try to sow doubt on the claims Israel had made about Hamas. What was your perception of it?
He's basically, he was trying to give Hamas the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And cut them slack that he wouldn't, the IDF, and he does accept that Israeli women and children were massacred, but he just seemed to really, really have a bee in his bonnet about the claim that women were raped. And he said, if there was rape and sexual violence committed, we don't see this on the footage. And you just think, maybe, Owen, maybe it's because even Hamas aren't as disgusting, that disgusting that they would record something like that. Or maybe it's that the IDF, if it has the full footage, they've decided that they don't want to show that because it's, families are already suffering as it is. Why further intensify their grief and anguish by showing really horrendous footage like that? And I just don't get that, just because we see a young woman's corpse with no underwear, it doesn't mean she was raped. I just, this is supposed to be also a post Me Too climate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you remember when I think the journalist Kate Maltby, I think she was harassed by an MP, or some MP made advances towards her, and he's very keen to say that women should be believed, and this is the climate that we're living in. So believe all women until they're Israeli women and they say they've been raped, or the Israeli army claim that they have been raped. It's just absurd. And why would you want to watch that kind of footage anyway?
It's crazy. So a lot of people. So what we'll have here, there's a double standard at play, but also we've had, reputable journalists and publications and platforms, including the BBC now, they finally joined the party, who have actually gone and done some fact finding. They've gone out there themselves. They've spoke to Israeli authorities. They've spoke to witnesses. They've seen a lot of the footage. They've had forensic reports, and they've relayed what they've learned. And this is credible journalism. To me, this is reporting. This is what you should do. You should verify and report. And that's what they've done. People are still reading that and going, where's the videos? Show us the videos. As if it makes sense for Israel to release footage of their own citizens being brutally murdered, to live online for the rest of the, for the whole world to see till the end of time. As if that's not a crazy thing to be asking in order for you to believe something happened. Also, I'd just like to point out, it's very funny how Owen Jones finds his skeptical hat when it's Israel making claims,
Yeah,
but
not with
then
Hamas though.
he'll share Hamas casualty figures, throw them around like sweets at a fucking pantomime, right? And then I mean he's had his pants pulled down a few times on this issue before when he's grandstanding on, Israel have killed kids in a park and blah blah blah, and then we find out it was a Hamas rocket, similar to what happened in that car park bombing a while back. But just to give you an idea, like, I'm not saying the IDF are saints; they are not. But did you see the reports today come out that the IDF killed 3 of their own Israeli citizens?
Mm.
Now, I believe that, and things happen in war on that you do not mean to happen. There'll be an inquiry into what them IDF soldiers did. Sounds to me like somebody's in a lot of trouble because it seemed like it could have been avoided. But there is absolutely no propaganda win on this earth for Israel to release that information. There is no need for them, in their own interest, to be transparent on this. They could have quite easily said Hamas killed them hostages and used it for their propaganda purposes. The fact that they didn't and have released the fact that their own IDF soldiers have killed 3 hostages really tells you that it's night and day in between, who's going to give you information that's close to the truth versus those who aren't. It just seems like that the fact that Israel have told the world we killed 3 of our own in a bungled rescue attempt. That tells you everything about the mentality of a country versus another. That just plucks figures out of the air whenever there's like when that Hamas rocket hit the hospital car park at the start of this conflict, Hamas was straight out the gate with the 500 dead immediately, and then that figure was repeated by the UN, various newspapers. Then it was kind of downgraded, and it turned out just to be not much of anyone died. And it's like that's taken on face value all the time. Whereas anything Israel says or does, Owen Jones is either sowing doubt or refuses to believe it.
Exactly, but if some fucking 6-foot bloke called Gary decided to call himself Glenda and put on a dress and say I'm a woman, I doubt he'd be scrutinizing Gary's claims.
I agree. Do you want to see if we've got Twitter questions? Have you got time? Do you need to be anywhere?
I don't know if you have any questions. Actually.
There's a couple.
Oh no, we do have questions. I never see them.
Here's a good one.
Die Hard a Christmas movie.
What's your criteria for Christmas movie, Iram?
It has to be set during Christmas, and that's it. It's exclusively set on or around Christmas Day. It has to be in the lead up to Christmas and post-Christmas. So Die Hard, yes, Christmas movie.
Yeah, I think people have this concept of the Christmas movie the narrative is about Christmas, the story is all about Christmas, whereas in Die Hard, Christmas is the backdrop.
Yeah, what's your favourite Christmas movie? Is it Die Hard?
Yeah, I can't say Die Hard anymore because that's the obvious one. I really like It's a Wonderful Life. I still go back to that classic Jimmy Stewart. I really like Batman Returns as a guilty pleasure at Christmas. That's
Batman Returns.
It's like a live action snow globe. That film. It's beautifully shot, set on Christmas, snow.
Oh yeah, it wasn't Christmas. Yeah, I actually liked that as well.
There you go. What about you? Don't give me any Bollywood bullshit now.
Bollywood doesn't recognise Christmas, so. If you ask me for my favourite Diwali movies,
Did you see that trailer the other day, which is quite clearly like Bollywood's answer to Top Gun? Top Gun, even.
Yeah, it really is a rip-off of Top Gun, and they're insisting it's not.
It looked like have you ever seen like Hot Shots back in the day, which was kind of like a spoof rip-off of Top Gun, like a parody? I thought it was like a Bollywood parody at first, and I was like, oh no, these guys are serious. These are going for it. Let me just find out what it's called. So,
Fighter. It's called Fighter.
It's called Fighter.
It's out next year. It's out in January.
Okay, look at you. You're well into your Bollywood. That's amazing. We should. If this is a UK screening, we should go to the pictures and review it.
You know what? It's also got a song in it that is a complete rip-off of Staying Alive.
That's
all right. Yeah, every flaming party. Oh god.
Yeah. So if you get a second, go into YouTube, type in was it Fighter? Did you say Fighter trailer? Indian Top Gun movie. Basically, it is basically Top Gun, but with some India. I hope they break into song and dance at some point. Right. What else? Oh, so is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Yes, that came from All Views My Own. Oh. There's a question here about Ireland. This comes from Davey O'Neill. Will you have enough on your plate with it? Hey, Aaron, this might be an opportunity to offend one more country here if we play our cards right. Davey O'Neill's asked, will you have enough on your plate with the UK? This short snippet of what's happening in Ireland gives you a sense of how livid the country is with the ruling class over immigration. The TDs were lucky not to be lynched. Okay. I can't watch the clip now. It's 50 seconds.
So people of Donegal are not happy apparently because their county is already housing 1625 asylum seekers. That's 1625 too many, in my opinion.
So, I mean,
imagine going through all that, to leave your country, get on a boat, risk life and death, whatever, and you end up in fucking Ireland.
Yeah.
Ireland. You end up in County Donegal. Wait, hang on. I can't even remember what that's. Let me see where that is. Donegal. It's in the Republic, and it is.
Yeah, it's not in the UK. Don't say that.
No, it's in the Republic. It is in northwest. I always got a castle. It's the largest county. Sorry, in Ulster, province of Ulster. Blah blah blah. Their motto is "Have love for one another." Not if you're an asylum seeker.
If you're an asylum seeker, but are these? So here's the question, though, and it's the term, because people get kind of confused over this. So we have immigration and legal immigration in this country. We have asylum seekers, and then we have illegal immigration. Sometimes the Venn diagram crosses over. So are these? I'm assuming these are people that have come through the asylum process and are here illegally. Then
I don't know. I have to watch the clip and read up about it. But I mean,
this was a really bad topic to pick just before we were wrapping up, wasn't it? This is silly.
For fuck's sake!
Yeah, thanks, Davey O'Neill. Good work, fella. But I mean, there's a lot going on. I mean, we will get to this kind of thing in terms of assimilation, multiculturalism, mass immigration, what that does, whether or not these people are even helped just by being picked up and dropped in the arse end of Ireland. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Bruce Liberace also. This was yesterday. He was proper on it. Oh no, this was last month, and I don't think we answered the question, but he repeated it, and he said he wanted for us to share top tips for daytime drinking and where to get the best rum baba in the.
And
Northwest.
I thought that was a drink, and it's not. It's a cake, isn't it?
It's not. It's a cake.
I'm an idiot.
And he sent a picture saying, "Behold the rum baba, good episode and good daytime drinking tip." Oh, did we answer that question for him?
Yeah. I've always got an answer to a drinking question.
Because I had a rum baba in Paris, but completely.
Still funny.
We're complete. Oh, he lives in the northwest. I wonder where he is then. Wow, this guy really loves rum baba.
Add it to my list. I thought it was a fucking drink. So
okay, first of all, Omar, like I said, I accidentally had a rum baba because it was on a plate full of in like a selection of small desserts, and it was. It wasn't anything to write home about. I would say I'm sorry if I've offended everyone who. Which country invented this cake? It's I don't know. It's a waste of rum and it's a waste of cake, I think. Sorry. Anyway, rum baba.
Sounds like a phrase you'd hear in when they in like a fantasy movie when they give characters a fake language. And he's like,
and you get a point, you go, rum baba.
Yeah, Cliffy Locky Luby rum baba. You know what I mean? It sounds like a little furry fucking Ewok-esque Star Wars creature. Hakmeneli Rumbaba. Yeah. Fuck, it's been a long day.
What do you think? What do you think Michael Owens' favourite Christmas movie is?
I reckon on Christmas Day, he just sits there. I think he's got a special room in his house where the kids can't get in and his wife can't get in. But they've made that for him. He's not asked for it. They've made a Michael room to get away from him. And he gets in there and it's just a white bench, painted white with like white gloss, white walls, gloss again, no TV, and he's there in his jumpers, and he just stares at the wall and thinks about playing football. And that's the perfect night for Michael Owen. Any plans for 2024? Do you do resolutions? Do you not bother?
Oh, what's my resolution?
Learn to pronounce resolution, I imagine.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Resolution.
I don't know. Just save more money, not waste it on crap stuff. Travel more.
Travel more? Travel more?
It doesn't count when you travel for work because you don't get to see much of the country.
That's fair.
It's
just hotels and airports, isn't it?
Yeah, or stations. Seriously, you don't see as much as you think you're gonna.
Fair enough. Travel more, save money. I'm not quite sure how you're going to make them meet in the middle, but good luck to you. But just be aware, you're no longer welcome in France. You're no longer welcome in Greece. We had a little pop at the Irish, I think. Italians, it's game over. Certainly not Gaza. Yeah,
Wales.
We've done. No, I think I've slagged off Wales. We had a little pop at Wales at the start of the show. Yeah, There's not a lot going for you next year.
I've already been to Italy. I mean, I've not seen the whole of it, but fuck it, I've had my fill now. If you're gonna ban me, fine.
I've seen Rome. I spent it. So I like a hoppy beer, and there was nothing but Peroni in central Rome. So I walked like 5 miles out of the city to find a craft ale bar, and I walked up to the bar, and I just, because I don't like to assume everyone can speak English, and I go to the barman, I go, excuse me, do you speak English? And he goes, yes, do you? That set the tone for the rest of the day in the bar, and I just went, your carbonara shit, and then I ran. Rumbaba! It's been a pleasure. Happy New Year, Happy Christmas, and all that jazz.
Yippee-ki-yay!
Yippee-ki-yay!